So I've put a timestamp in the comments in the description of the video where the technique is, because I talk a lot before I show it to you. You can skip to that if you want to, but I highly recommend you listen to everything I have to say about all of what this relates to and the work that it actually is, and so you have proper guidance and understanding what this technique is doing and what you should be doing with it. You can just do the technique, but you're gonna have to learn a lot from scratch if you don't just watch the full video. So please watch the full video, and good luck. Okay, welcome to my new channel. Don't know what I'm gonna call it yet. It's gonna be all about the occult, all about magic, meditation, and techniques and such like that. Just all things I have learned, because there's a lot that I know that I don't see anywhere, that I only have discovered for myself or have found in really obscure places. And I'll be talking about the basics too and my take on everything. So for this one, I'm going to be talking about the nervous system, the central nervous system. Now, the central nervous system is very important in magic and the occult, because essentially the central nervous system is the connection between your physical body and your spirit. Your physical body and your astral forms, physical body and your etheric forms, celestial forms, underworld forms, demonic forms, solar forms. Your main tool in achieving solar consciousness, aka enlightenment, is going to be your central nervous system. It's so important that every time, I don't work with angels or Jesus or anything from the Bible, but I like referring to the Bible because the whole thing is a book on ancient magic, and if you read between the lines, you get a lot of good stuff. When they talk about Jesus ascending, and I think Elijah too, or Enoch, when they talk about them ascending, which is like the main goal of doing these practices and doing magic, in doing the occult, doing meditation, spiritual practices, is to ascend beyond the physical plane, to not have to reincarnate anymore. Usually this is done through your natural death. There's like only a few people that have been documented to have done it outside of, like, without a natural death, and that was Jesus and either Elijah or Enoch. I forget which one, but might not be both of them. But those could also just be symbolic stories and metaphors. So, but we do have evidence in this day and age of people dying, and they are so much so doing magic and doing these practices. These are Tibetan Buddhists, that what they leave behind, for a while it looks like a regular guy that's still alive, and then eventually it mummifies itself. The nervous system actually mummifies itself, and the only thing that's left unchanged is the hair and the fingernails. And the only thing Jesus left behind is his hair and his fingernails, because these are the only things that are not connected to the nervous system. So that's how important the nervous system is. What the part of you that's actually doing the transformation is the nervous system. The part of you that's carrying, that is like the steering wheel for your vessel, is the nervous system. The nervous system is oh so important. But when the nervous system is overwhelmed and You know, the nervous system is so powerful that it'll take on information, every single little piece of information that you've ever interacted with in your entire life. Your nervous system will take it on. And your nervous system is, once again, runs throughout your entire body, except for the only thing it's not connected to is your hair and your fingernails. But the most important parts of the nervous system are three main parts. I have this little diagram from this book, and if you haven't read this book, you very much so should. It's called The Body Keeps Score by this person right here, Bessel van der Kolk, MD. Very smart doctor. I don't know where I marked. I think I lost my place in this book. There it is. So, basically, the most sophisticated part is up here, like right towards the brainstem. And then the most primal and older part, like developed during the time of the dinosaurs. And then like this is like mammal stuff. And then this is like more like reptilian dinosaur type stuff. Like this has been around since for millions and millions and millions and millions, like hundreds of millions of years. And this is more complex and hasn't been around as long. So this runs all up and down your spine. And basically, when you experience trauma, if you don't know how to regulate your nervous system, which I am going to teach you how to do in this video, you store and hold on to the trauma. And the trauma has three main levels of danger. One, up here, has to do with reaching out for help. Right? And of course the nervous system doesn't just process trauma, it processes all kinds of things. But trauma is what slows it down. Also, pleasure can speed it up in an unhealthy way, but that's a topic for another video. So, trauma slows it down. And it does that by overwhelming it. Overwhelming it with the same information over and over again in a loop, causing you to repeat the same self-soothing activities and thoughts and patterns of recognition and perception and things like that cause you to get stuck and cause you to not progress in your spiritual development, or cause you to create bad situations for yourself in order to feel the same feelings that you felt during the trauma. So here, up here, is the part of the nervous system that's responsible for calling out for help. So you'll see, like, characteristics of this is like, if you have a lot of trauma stored here, you kind of like always need to be talking to someone, always need to be having a friend, always need to be posting on social media all the time, always need that constant influx of communication. It's calling out for help. Here in the middle is fight or flight. So this usually, in most people, doesn't characterize itself as literally running around or fighting people. Usually it characterizes itself as like shakes, like shaking hands, just outbursts of anger, whether you actually are able to control your anger or not. Like when you feel that anger rise up and it's very palpable and it's like very hard to control, but you like stuff it back down, like anger like that, and it seems like for no reason, or it's over like the smallest things. And it triggers of anxiety, like the littlest things will make you super anxious, like something being slightly out of place, something not going your way. You might be functional, and you might not let these things make you freak out and go into that fight or flight of like a panic attack. That's just the worst case scenario. You know, you're still living with this trauma circulating through your nervous system and it's not being regulated. You're not, think of it like breathing. It's like, oh, I only have like a little bit of poison in my lungs, like it's just a little bit of poison in my lungs. I only breathe like a little bit of like carbon monoxide poisoning in my garage, like just for a couple hours a day. You know, like it's not that big of a deal. Like, no, it is. Like that's what it is. It's poison in your nervous system. It's literal chemical and emotional poison, physical poison, running around your nervous system. And we can get into the occult perspective of that with Samael and the poison of God and all other things. I can break that down even further in another video. But the bottom right here is the most tricky, because this one is the most sneaky. This one you don't really see or feel, because this is the part of the nervous system that's responsible for freezing. And it's in your guts, in your viscera, by your sacral chakra, the bottom of your spine, and like by your anus area. So we have calling out for help, in the context of trauma, that is, calling out for help, fight or flight, and freezing, giving up, playing dead. Okay? Those are the three main parts. And those are where they are at in the body. So, how do you work with these? Because you're not trying to really solve a big problem. You're not trying to get just one result. You want to be able to work with these lifelong, for the long term. For your whole life, you want to be working on these and refining them as much as possible, and wringing out every single bit of experience that you can get from it. So, the best way to regulate and to work with your nervous system is to synchronize it. Step one. But, well, first and foremost, let me say that for most people that I have interacted with, working with their nervous system would feel very counterintuitive. That's because most people that get into the occult or magic or spiritual stuff, healing, do so out of necessity, meaning they have been through lots and lots of trauma. Not for everyone, it will not feel as counterintuitive for everyone. But if you've been through a lot of trauma, at first, working with the nervous system will feel very counterintuitive, because it feels like you're really in that dangerous situation and you're not doing what you need to do to get out of it or have victory over it. But actually, there's no danger going on at all. So, the best way to do it is to synchronize it. Synchronize the nervous system. And the second best way to do it is to just feel the energy and the chemicals that are running through it right now as one. You want to feel it as one, because if you don't, it's better to have all three parts of the nervous system lined up and feeling just a little bit than to have one part feeling you're able to feel like a lot of it. And that's another thing too. The body kind of has a habit of not feeling this stuff, wants to push it off and try and not feel it, because it's very intense and it sucks, and it keeps coming back around and around, usually for most people. And it doesn't have to be like crazy traumatic stuff either too. It can just be like just like misinterpretations of the world. Even that can mess up the nervous system, because it's like trying to evolve and it doesn't understand because the information is bad, or the interpretation is bad. So you don't want to just have one part feeling at the same at one time just by itself. You want to synchronize the whole thing, because think of it like this. Think of it like each of those parts is an animal, like in itself. The top part would be like a regular human, I'd say. Like a regular human. That's kind of where it's at on the evolutionary timeline. And then the middle part is more like an ape, like a gorilla. But then the bottom part is like a velociraptor, like a dinosaur. They have different ideas of survival and of thriving. So it's kind of like you have a car made out of like all of the best parts of other cars. Like that's kind of what humans are. Our DNA is like a car made out of all of the best shit, like the best wheels from this Ferrari and the best engine from this Bugatti and the best spoiler from this McLaren. I don't know cars, but it has all the best parts. It's kind of like a Frankenstein of like evolutionary traits, of good traits. So basically what can happen is if you focus on one part of the nervous system over another, and say, for example, you really love and have a passion, and it's very natural and easy for you to heal the middle part of your nervous system that is responsible for fight or flight, but healing the bottom part of the nervous system that's responsible for freezing and playing dead and giving up, it just annoys you and you don't like doing it, and so you neglect it. Well, then you have a very, very angry lizard brain dinosaur sitting in the pit of your stomach, clamoring and clawing at a massive silverback gorilla sitting in your diaphragm, and they're just fighting each other all day. Your kundalini is not going to flow, your energy is not going to go anywhere, and your body is going to be fighting itself. Not only is it all about aligning ourselves, but we also are aligning and healing and bringing together a lot of different energies from different parts of time and different species as humans. We have to work with a lot of different energies. We have to work with serpent energies and eagle energies and all kinds of energies. So I'm going to show you the technique now. So I call it the threefold nervous system breath. The first part is the hardest part. You want to start like you're inhaling through the bottom part of your nostrils, not the top. And basically you want to squeeze at first. Squeezing is the best. Like the spot, it's kind of gross, but the spot between your anus and your equipment, the taint, the little area, it's very important in Tantra. It's called like the curl of the dragon's tail or something. And when you flex that muscle a certain way, like right where your prostate is if you're a guy, right in between your equipment and your anus, you flex it a certain way, you feel like a twist, or you feel like something flattening, and it opens up an energy flow, so where energy can flow down, like how your breath goes down through the front part of your body and then twist around down there and then back up the back of your spine up through here and then exit out through your nose or mouth or crown chakra. But that's the most important part of the breath that activates the bottom reptilian nervous system, bottom part of the nervous system. So once again, you're kind of squeezing around your butt area, and it takes a while to get this right. It will feel so wonky and so out of whack, but you keep doing it, it's worth it. You breathe in a third of your capacity of your lungs. It should feel like you have a second pair of lungs down around your root chakra, and you're breathing into that. Alright? And then you kind of flare your nostrils if you can, and breathe with your stomach and your diaphragm. So that's diaphragm breathing. That's something that we should, all be working on. That's the middle part, breathing through your power chakra. And then you want to breathe with the top of your lungs right after that for the last third. On the out breath, I kind of forced out a little air there. You're not supposed to force out air. You just completely let go, and you focus on the bottom part. You focus on you focus on that thing becoming flat when you flex. That's little butt area, and then you focus on that energy coming up the back of your spine. You focus on it going up past your sacral power diaphragm and your heart, up through your throat and at the top of your lungs, right here, top of your back, where your back is. And then exiting, I like to focus on my face sometimes, doing like deific mask work, channeling certain energies into my face or out of my face, and let the Kundalini exit any way you please. It should exit naturally. The best way is the way that your body naturally wants it to go. And during this time, well, I'll just go over this again, actually. So, once again, flex that weird little muscle that's really hard to find. Takes a while to find it. Flex it. Breathe in with the bottom of your nostrils. Act like there's lungs near your butt. Breathe in with those. And then breathe in with the diaphragm. Breathe in with the top of the lungs. Relax. Let the air escape as slowly as it needs to. Yeah, so each section is a third of the breath, and then each section that you focus on, like when it comes out the back, up the back, is a third of the out breath. So focus on the lower for a third of the out breath, the middle for a third, and the top for a third. That's pretty much it for the technique. Now I'll explain some other stuff, tips about that. And I'm sorry for all the rambling. I really do believe I was putting all good information in there, though. I was trying my best, at least. I will put the timestamp so that if you want to go straight to the technique, you can do that. So when you're doing this, for a lot of people, it's going to feel like you just want to jump out of your skin. You're going to feel a lot of parts of you being like, this is stupid. This isn't going to help. And a lot of parts of you will be very convincing in telling you to stop, because you should just go and get drunk, or go and hang out with friends, or go and party, or go and accomplish something, something outside of you. And that energy is the energy that you need to be working with. That energy is not the trauma itself, but it is the shells or the parts of you that separated itself from your center and built itself a sort of vessel made out of nothing of real substance, kind of made out of the lie of individual existence, or the lie of suffering, the lie of samsara, the lie that we're all trying to escape. I have my own thoughts and opinions on individuality, but that's another video. So, like, these parts of you these shells are not always created by you, though. Like, these parts of you break off because there's so much going on, and they go and find like a shell, like a hermit crab would, and they come back and they're like, look how strong I am, I can deal with this situation and you can't, and then they take over. In a sense, like, you're all shelled up, you kind of don't know who you truly are and what you're dealing with, because all you can really do is defend yourself. Defend yourself by calling out for help, being like persuasive, developing certain mental health disorders, by skewing your perspective, by making things out to be different than they are, by always being vigilant, hypervigilant, by forcing yourself to be okay with horrible shit, even though you know that horrible shit's bad for you or is wrong. Forcing yourself to kind of keep going through it because that's all you really know how to do. Shit like that. When everything isn't synchronized, those shells take over. And the most extreme version of this is stuff like schizophrenia and multiple personality, or DID, which is a bitch and a half, and you should definitely see a doctor or a therapist if you have that. I've been diagnosed with schizophrenia, though, and doctors never helped me at all. Therapists helped a little bit, but this helped me, like, stuff like this helped me more than anything. Because the nervous system is in charge. The nervous system is the steering wheel itself. Your spirit is the driver. But if the nervous system is like, think of if you had like a steering wheel, right? And you just want to put your hands on it and turn it. But as soon as you put your hands on it, like, it turns into like a raging, like, baby monster and starts screaming and crying and destroying things. Like, that's the shit that you're dealing with. How are you gonna drive that car? So don't try and really get anywhere in the beginning, or really at all, with this particular work. You're not trying to, like, reach a certain level of consciousness, really. You're kind of just stripping away bullshit consciousness. You're not trying to manifest something or undergo some sort of intense initiation, although it is intense. And you're not trying to devour something or do some sort of work to honor some sort of deity. You're not really doing much at all. You want to be getting to the point where you're just doing nothing. The biggest thing, too, is if you take away anything from this video, even if you don't use the technique, if you only take away one thing from this video, let it be this. And this will assist the technique very much so. Physical movement, especially one that's in a group. If you're too nervous to go to the gym, okay, maybe I get that. I think that you should just get the fuck in the gym. If you're, whatever. But take a yoga class. People are chill in yoga classes. But if you really are scared of people, go to the park. People will leave you alone. You can do it alone. I do it alone mostly. Physical movement, like my own kind of yoga stuff. Basically integrating the magic into the physical body. But if you're really deep in the trauma, it's really good to do it around people, because it kind of reminds your body about neutral situations. Because the traumatized nervous system is always trying to look for the horrible situations to learn how to deal with them, or to learn how to just die there, or to just go and die there, or looking for like crazy, outlandishly good situations that never really exist, and trying to stay there. So things like going to the gym and going to a yoga class, or just going to like a public place where there's people and getting movement, and trying to feel your entire body while you're moving, will drastically improve the work in healing the nervous system. Even just like making eye contact with someone once while you're like shooting basketball alone in a park, and someone just walks by and you make eye contact, that counts. And you can do it alone. I do it alone because I have nothing to do in the gym, and the gym here is expensive as shit, so I can't justify going to the gym. But I used to go to the gym back when I lived in a bigger city, and it really got me out of my head and reminded me of just very neutral situations, because my nervous system was always trying to make a spectacular situation out of everything I was doing, and it was really holding me back. So yeah, get some type of yoga-ish practice under your belt. You can just like do something like run the stairs, push-ups, as long as it's, involving most of your body, or at least those three main parts that I was talking about. Stretching is the best for this, because it's not so intense, so you can kind of relax and get into more of a meditative state and to focus on it. I like making up my own yoga poses on the spot and just doing whatever feels right, because I'm weird, but you can follow the normal, awesome, great, traditional yoga poses too. Yeah. So, once you got that down, once you're starting to feel how your nervous system works with your body, then at this point is the point where you can stop taking my advice and start crafting your own system of working through this stuff. Start crafting your own way of regulating your own nervous system, which is always going to be the best way. I'll be saying this a lot as I make these videos. Make up your own shit, always. Furthermore, I do this, and if it works for you, once you get to a point where you need it, then good. Basically, I like to visualize the elements flowing through my nervous system, and kind of like seeing which element is best suited for healing or dealing with whatever my nervous system is bringing up at the time. So, certain things like the element of fire works best for dealing with. Certain things, the element of earth works best for dealing with. Water, air, etc. Or those are all the elements, but there's other elements, other stuff like spirit, and there's other elements in certain other niche practices, but those main four are sort of the best ones to just flush your nervous system with something neutral while you are processing the emotions or traumas. You want to have something neutral going through there at the same time. You can visualize light going through there. Anything really. I like to do elements though. Another thing is just like just like engaging that muscle that raises Kundalini down there, engaging all of the muscles of the back and the abdomen and the pectorals and the shoulders and these muscles and the neck, just engaging them and feeling them, tightening and relaxing them as you are working on your nervous system, kind of helps synchronize the whole thing. And you'll start to see it gets very, very trippy, synchronizing the nervous system. As long as you're synchronizing it, you don't even have to be like feeling better or feeling like you're winning over your traumas. Even if the thoughts are winning, if you're synchronizing it, you're at least stepping in the right direction. Some people will fall to bad coping skills, and you just, dust yourself off and get back up and keep synchronizing your nervous system and regulating yourself, and maybe one day you'll build healthier habits, but you can't do that on a bad foundation, because it never lasts. So yeah, don't let the different parts of the nervous system each try and run the show, because they will. They'll try and take over and show you that a reason why that part of the nervous system is most important. And another thing too, along that line, is when you are healing your nervous system, especially if you are an occultist, one of the biggest things to watch out for is any certain idea, energy, ideology, pathology trying to be in the spotlight, number one, take over or run the show. Is never how that works. The darkness doesn't run the show. The light doesn't run the show. The angels don't run the show. The demons don't run the show. You yourself runs the show, but you yourself is easily tricked into identifying as the light, the dark, the this, the that, the very cool, niche, guru thingy, whatever is coming up that you feel like you fit in that spot. That's a trap. And that is just a predator in the wild trying to get a meal, trying to have you as its prey. So all you gotta do is not be its prey. That's not that big of a deal. Okay, one more thing, or a couple more things I forgot to add. When I say the light or the darkness or the whatever doesn't run the show, what I mean by that is the show is the physical. So in magic, you want to stay away from crafting an identity for yourself, because it's another form of making that shell, like making that false personality that is simply there to deal with the trauma. It's making a personality that is simply there to evolve spiritually, but the problem is it's not authentic. So it isn't evolving spiritually, it's just evolving to make you suitable for the physical world. So it's going backwards. It isn't pulling you out of the cycle of reincarnation. There is advantages to polarizing, which I can talk about in another video. The channel Universal Mastery has a really good video on, a lot of good videos on polarization. Basically, there is, you can go the middle path. People do that. But there's a lot of advantages to, in the beginning and middle stages of spiritual development, to polarization, both the negative and the positive polarity. This is speaking as someone who has polarized it on both sides. I started polarizing on the positive polarity, working with a lot of angels and working with the light and things like that, and I progressed very quickly. And then I tried to go completely in the middle. I didn't get much out of that at all, because I didn't really learn the lessons. To get there, I was just kind of making that identity for myself, building that identity for myself as a spiritual person, as a guru, as a whatever, as a shaman, as a whatever, it doesn't matter, magician. And I wasn't having the authentic experiences that were actually causing that growth to happen. Like, towards a certain point, you will naturally get to a level where no matter where you polarize, you will be able to work with all manner of light and dark forces and successfully and authentically evolve. But for me personally, I recommend going with whatever intuitively feels best to polarize to. If you are noticing that, like, you're polarizing towards maybe the positive polarity and it feels like all ecstatic and, too good to be true, and you're kind of running around in your head making all these ideas about how you're, like, gonna save the world or things like that, then either some work needs to be done or you need to switch polarities and face the darkness. If you're facing the darkness and if you're polarizing on the negative polarity and you're working with, like, a bunch of demons, and all it's really doing is making you feel like a badass, but you're not actually evolving, and you're facing the same issues over and over and over again, and nothing's getting done, and you're not learning new things, and you're not progressing, maybe switch polarities. Or maybe stick to the polarity and slow down and stop trying to build up just another identity that is invincible, because in magic we're supposed to constantly die and be reborn over and over and over again. That's another topic I can talk about. I have so many topics to talk about. I hope people watch this channel. Another thing too is, with this work, particularly with the nervous system, you don't have to, but I highly recommend working with certain spirits that have a lot of feminine energy, that have a lot of feeling what you're feeling type energy. Lilith, Nama, very for certain people, they're able to tap in to the very dark aspects of those spirits. For other people, they tap into very neutral aspects of those spirits. The Qliphothic demons are very good with this work. This is like the foundation for doing the Qliphoth, if you're doing that. On the light side, I would say Raphael, really, really good for this work. Michael, great too. If you want to feel that safety with you while you're going through all of your traumas, you want to feel that protection, that's great. And there's a spirit in every pantheon that can help with this, for sure. As long as it's a spirit that has the energy of healing or the energy of observing, like Azazel or Shiva. Shiva's probably great for this. I don't work with Shiva though. Preserving and observing. Or the just like feminine energy in general will be really, really good for this. So yeah, any female spirits in particular, or male spirits that have a more feeling the feelings type of energy, like Raphael. But if you don't want to work with a spirit and you just want to go it alone, more on like a Buddhist path, things like that, then that can work too. Whatever feels best for you and gets you results. But I highly, highly recommend working with the qliphothic spirits of the lower part of the qliphoth, Nama in particular, because Nama is all about pain and pleasure, and avoiding pain is avoiding pleasure, and being obsessed with pleasure, getting too involved in pleasure is getting stuck in pleasure, is getting stuck in pain. And she teaches a lot about that, and she can teach the foundation of the nervous system really well. So yeah, that's what I recommend. I got the most out of working with Nama and Lilith for this, and the qliphoth. Yeah, thank you. I don't know where I'm going to put this in the video, but it'll be somewhere good, I hope. Yeah. So that's about it. I hope I didn't ramble too much, or say and like too much. I'm new to making videos, and I want to make a lot of them about this sort of stuff, because I have way too much knowledge in my head, and it's really annoying kicking around in there trying to get out somehow, so I gotta be making some stuff. Alright. Have a good day, and may you find what you're looking for, which is you. Peace.